She's destroying our family with internet coins. My mother-in-law Diane sobbed into her hands, her performance Oscar-worthy as always. The entire family had gathered in our modest living room for what I'd been told was a casual Sunday dinner. Instead, I'd walked into an intervention. What none of them knew was that those internet coins they were crying about had just crossed the 8-figure threshold that morning. My husband Trevor stood by the fireplace, jaw clenched, holding a manila envelope like it contained evidence of my crimes. His father Richard sat in the armchair I'd bought last year, paid for in cash, though I'd told Trevor it was on sale, looking at me with the kind of disappointment usually reserved for convicted felons. Trevor's sister Amanda perched on the couch arm, filming on her phone because apparently my humiliation needed to be documented for posterity. $37,000, Richard said, his voice heavy with judgment. That's how much you've invested in this cryptocurrency nonsense. Money that could have gone toward a real house, toward starting a family, toward building an actual future. I remained standing by the door, purse still on my shoulder, coat still buttoned. I'd learned long ago that sitting down during Diane's ambushes only prolonged the agony. It's my money, I said calmly. From my salary. My inheritance from my grandmother. Not a cent from Trevor. You're married, Diane shrieked, mascara running dramatically down her cheeks. What's yours is his. And you're gambling it away on make-believe money created by criminals. Trevor finally spoke, his voice cold in a way I'd never heard before. I've tried to be supportive, Vanessa. I really have. But my parents are right. This has gone too far. You're obsessed. You spend hours every night staring at charts, talking in group chats with strangers about blockchain and mining and God knows what else. I'm researching. You're gambling. Amanda chimed in, waving her phone for a better angle. My friend's cousin lost everything in Bitcoin. Everything. And you're going down the same path. We're trying to save you from yourself. I looked at Trevor, searching for any sign of the man who'd promised to support my dreams, who'd said he loved my ambition, who'd vowed to be my partner through everything. Instead, I saw a stranger wearing my husband's face, a man who'd let his family poison him against me drop by drop until the well was dry. Is that what this is? I asked, nodding toward the envelope in his hands. An intervention? He set the envelope on the mantel with shaking hands. It's divorce papers. I'm sorry, Vanessa. I can't watch you destroy yourself anymore. My parents offered to pay for everything, the lawyers, the filing fees. They'll make sure it's fair. You can keep your internet coins. I just want out. The room held its breath. Diane stopped sobbing. Richard leaned forward. Amanda zoomed in with her camera. They were waiting for me to break, to beg, to promise I'd stop gambling, if he'd just give me another chance. Instead, I walked to the mantel, picked up the envelope, and pulled out the papers. Trevor had already signed. His signature sat there, permanent and damning, next to blank lines waiting for mine. I'd need a pen. Amanda, I said quietly, do you have a pen? Her mouth fell open. You're just going to sign? Just like that. Do you have a pen or not? She fumbled in her purse, pulling out a glittery pink pen that felt absurd in the weight of the moment. I clicked it open and signed my name on every flagged line. Vanessa Morrison. The name I'd kept when we married, despite Diane's protests that I should take the Richardson name. One small rebellion I'd won. There, I said, handing the papers back to Trevor. You're free. I hope your parents' approval keeps you warm at night. Diane gasped. How dare you? After everything we've tried to do for you. You've tried to control me, I interrupted, my voice still calm, still measured. From the moment Trevor and I got engaged, you've tried to mold me into your image of what his wife should be. Quit my job in finance. Have babies immediately. Join the country club. Volunteer for your charities. Be decorative and obedient and grateful. We tried to help you become a respectable woman. Richard thundered. You tried to make me small. I looked at each of them in turn. And Trevor, you let them. Every boundary I set, you let them cross. Every dream I shared, you let them diminish. So yes, I'll sign your papers. You're doing me a favor. I walked to the door, then paused. One more thing. That $37,000 you're so worried about? I withdrew it from my crypto portfolio to pay for your anniversary party last month, Diane. The one at the country club with the ice sculpture and the live band. The one you bragged about to all your friends. That was internet money paying for your real-world party. You're welcome. I left before anyone could respond, driving away from the house we'd rented together, away from the life I'd tried to build with a man who couldn't see me for who I was. 3 weeks later, I sat in my lawyer's office while she reviewed the divorce settlement. Margaret was in her 60s, sharp as broken glass, with gray hair cut in a severe bob and reading glasses that made her look like a particularly stern librarian. "It's remarkably generous on their part," she said, flipping through pages. "They're not asking for any portion of your crypto holdings. Just a clean split of the joint savings account and the security deposit on the rental. They think crypto is worthless," I explained. "Why fight over monopoly money?" Margaret looked at me over her glasses. "And is it worthless?" I smiled. "My portfolio crossed 50 million last week." She dropped her pen. "Excuse me?" Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Ethereum is rallying. The altcoins I bought at the bottom are up 4,000%. 50 million. Conservatively. And Trevor has no idea. Trevor thinks I gambled away $37,000 on internet coins. He has no idea I've been systematically building positions since 2016. No idea I've been studying cryptography, monetary theory, and blockchain technology every night while he watched sports. No idea I've been networking with developers, attending virtual conferences, learning from the smartest minds in the space. Margaret sat back in her chair. "Sign these papers immediately, before anyone figures it out." The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in April. Trevor didn't attend. His lawyer handled everything. I walked out of the courthouse legally single, legally free, and legally in possession of assets that would have given Diane a stroke if she'd known their true value. I moved out of our rental into a temporary furnished apartment while I searched for something more permanent. Something that reflected who I was becoming, not who I'd been forced to pretend to be. I hired a financial advisor who specialized in crypto wealth, a former Wall Street analyst who'd seen the writing on the wall and pivoted to digital assets. His name was Marcus, and his first advice was simple. Diversify, protect your identity, and for God's sake, don't tell anyone what you're worth. I followed his guidance religiously, created LLCs, spread assets across cold storage wallets, invested in traditional markets, bought real estate under corporate entities, built a fortress around my wealth while living modestly enough that no one would suspect. The crypto market continued its relentless climb. 50 million became 70 million, then 100 million. I watched my portfolio grow with a sense of surreal detachment, like I was observing someone else's life through a window. In month 5 post-divorce, I bought a penthouse. Not just any penthouse. The one that had been featured in Architectural Digest, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a private rooftop terrace, and a master bathroom larger than the entire apartment I'd shared with Trevor. I paid cash through one of my LLCs. The realtor never knew my real name. Moving day felt like shedding a skin. I'd hired an interior designer who understood the assignment. Sophisticated, comfortable, nothing like Diane's stuffy traditional taste. Mid-century modern furniture, original art from emerging artists, a home office with 6 monitors for tracking markets. This was my space, built by my money, reflecting my choices. That night, I stood on my terrace with a glass of wine, looking out at the city lights, and let myself feel it. The pride, the vindication, the bone-deep satisfaction of proving every single one of them wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Forbes wants to interview you for their Crypto Billionaires piece. Your portfolio just crossed $890 million with today's rally. Congratulations. Call me to discuss PR strategy." I read the message 3 times. $890 million. The number was so large it barely felt real. I'd gone from being lectured about fiscal responsibility to having nearly $1 billion in less than 6 months. I called Marcus back. "A billion. I'm almost a billionaire." "You are a billionaire," he corrected. "Your real estate holdings, your equity positions, your traditional investments. Add it all up, you crossed 10 figures last week. The crypto is just the largest single component." I sat down on my terrace chair, suddenly dizzy. What do I do? You decide what kind of billionaire you want to be. Anonymous or public. Philanthropic or private. This Forbes piece, it's your choice. But Vanessa, people will find out eventually. Wealth this large leaves fingerprints. I thought about Trevor, about Diane's tears, about Richard's disappointment, about Amanda's camera phone. I thought about being told I was destroying the family, that I was reckless, that I was irresponsible. "Set up the interview," I said. It's time people knew. The Forbes journalist was a woman named Keisha, mid-30s, wearing a power suit and an expression of barely contained excitement. We met at my penthouse. I decided if I was going public, I might as well own it completely. This is incredible, she breathed, taking in the space. And you bought this in cash? Through an LLC, yes. Paid in full. We settled in my living room, her recorder between us on the coffee table. So walk me through this. You started investing in cryptocurrency when? 2016. Bitcoin was around $600. Everyone said it was a scam, Tulip Mania 2.0, that I was an idiot for putting money into it. But you didn't listen. I did my research. I understood the technology. I saw what central banks were doing, the inflation problem, the need for decentralized currency. So I bought Bitcoin, then Ethereum. Then I started researching altcoins, looking for projects with real utility, real teams, real vision. And your family? Your ex-husband? They didn't support this. I smiled thinly. My ex-husband served me divorce papers because his parents convinced him I was gambling away our future. They called it internet coins and make-believe money. They staged an intervention. Keisha's eyes widened. They divorced you over Bitcoin? They divorced me over $37,000 that I'd invested. They never knew about the rest. I kept separate accounts, separate holdings. That $37,000? It was real money I'd already withdrawn. The intervention was about gambling I wasn't actually doing. And now that $37,000 is worth. I checked my phone. Approximately $273 million if I'd held those specific coins. But I traded actively, diversified, took profits at peaks and bought dips. My total portfolio is worth $890 million in crypto alone. Over $1 billion with all assets combined. Keisha sat back. That's the fastest wealth accumulation I've ever documented. And your ex-husband has no idea? Not yet. He will soon, I imagine. The Forbes article went live on a Monday morning. The headline read, "From Intervention to Billionaire, How One Woman Turned Family Shame into $890 million Crypto Fortune." My phone exploded. Text messages from old colleagues, former classmates, people I hadn't spoken to in years. My lawyer Margaret sent a simple message. "I hope you're ready." My financial advisor Marcus called immediately. "Your phone is about to become unusable. I'm setting you up with a new private number. Only give it to people you absolutely trust." Will there be media attention? Vanessa, you're a self-made female crypto billionaire who got divorced right before hitting it big. You're about to become the most talked about person in finance. Yes, there will be media attention. He wasn't exaggerating. By noon, my email was flooded. By evening, there were reporters in my building lobby. By the next morning, I was trending on 3 different social media platforms. And then, at 11:47 a.m. on Tuesday, my building's front desk called up. "Ms. Morrison, there's a Trevor Richardson here to see you. He says you'll know who he is." I stood at my window, looking down at the street below, at the life I'd built from the ashes of my marriage. "Tell him I'm not available." He's quite insistent. He says it's urgent. Tell him to contact my lawyer if he has legal matters to discuss. Otherwise, I have nothing to say to him. I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. He'd come. Of course he'd come. The article had been explicit about the timeline, about the divorce, about the wealth I'd accumulated in the 6 months since he'd handed me those papers. My phone rang. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Vanessa, please." Trevor's voice, raw with desperation. "I just need 5 minutes. Please. How did you get this number?" "Your old assistant gave it to me." I told her it was an emergency. "Vanessa, I read the article. I didn't know. I had no idea what you were building. Please, just let me explain." "Explain what? That you served me divorce papers because your mother cried? That you chose their approval over our marriage? That you called me financially irresponsible while I was building a billion-dollar portfolio? I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. My parents, they were in my ear constantly, and I was weak. I let them convince me that you were reckless, that you needed saving from yourself. But you didn't need saving. You were brilliant, and I was too blind to see it. I watched the city below, all those people living their lives, unaware that this conversation was happening stories above their heads. You weren't blind, Trevor. You chose not to see. Every time I tried to explain my research, you changed the subject. Every time I was excited about a breakthrough in the technology, you dismissed it. You didn't take me seriously because your parents didn't take me seriously, and their opinion mattered more than mine. I know. God, Vanessa, I know. And I have to live with that. But please, can we just talk? Face to face? I'm downstairs. I've been waiting for 3 hours. I'll wait 3 more. 300 more. Just please, give me a chance to apologize properly. Part of me, the part that had loved him, that had promised forever, that remembered good times before his family's poison took root, wanted to say yes. Wanted to let him come up, let him see what I'd built, let him grovel. But that part was small and getting smaller. You had your chance to support me, I said quietly. You chose to divorce me instead. You get to live with that choice. I've moved on. You should too. Vanessa. I hung up. Then I blocked the number. For the next hour, I watched from my window as Trevor stood outside my building. He looked small from 40 stories up, insignificant against the backdrop of the city. Eventually, security escorted him away. He went without a fight, shoulders slumped, defeated. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from an unknown number. This is Diane. We need to talk about Trevor. He's devastated. You owe it to him to at least hear him out after everything our family did for you. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, I owe your family nothing. Trevor made his choice. I've made mine. Lose this number. Block. Delete. Another text, this one from Amanda. Are you seriously going to throw away your marriage over money? That's so shallow. Trevor still loves you. My response. Trevor loved his parents' approval more than he loved me. The money just made that truth impossible to ignore. Don't contact me again. Block. Delete. They kept trying. Different numbers, different approaches. Richard sent an email about family values and forgiveness. Diane somehow got my building's main number and left crying voicemails. Amanda created a fake Instagram account to slide into my DMs with messages about second chances. I blocked them all. 3 months later, Forbes published a follow-up piece. My portfolio had crossed $1.2 billion. I'd started a foundation focused on financial literacy for women, teaching them about investing, cryptocurrency, building wealth independently. The irony of using money that had destroyed my marriage to help other women achieve financial freedom wasn't lost on me. The article included a quote from me that went viral. The best revenge isn't living well. It's becoming so successful that your detractors' opinions become irrelevant. That night, I hosted the foundation's launch party on my rooftop terrace. 100 women, all learning to build their own financial futures, all refusing to be made small by people who didn't believe in them. We toasted to independence, to research over opinion, to trusting ourselves even when everyone else calls us crazy. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Trevor Richardson is here. Says he's your ex-husband. Building security stopped him. Want me to handle it? I looked down from my terrace. 40 stories below. I could just make out a figure by the entrance. Still trying. Still hoping. Still not understanding that some doors, once closed, don't reopen. Let him wait, I said to Marcus, who'd come to find me personally. Let him see the party, the success, the life I built without him. Then have security permanently ban him from the property. Marcus nodded, heading back inside. I returned to my guests, to women who were building their own fortunes, who were taking control of their own destinies, who were learning that sometimes the people who love you most can hold you back the hardest. The city lights sparkled below like internet coins made real. Intangible value transformed into concrete power, dismissed dreams becoming undeniable reality. And somewhere 40 stories down, Trevor Richardson finally learned what I'd known all along. The only person who can save you is yourself. Everything else is just gambling.